Have you ever stopped to think about that card in your pocket or that banknote? Its story actually goes back 2,700 years to a small kingdom in what is now Turkey. And this invention wasn't born from a king waking up one day and saying, "Let's invent money." It came from a very real, very practical problem they had to solve. Today, I'll show you exactly what that problem was and the precise moment money was born. First, let's go back to the world before money. For thousands of years, humanity lived on barter. You give me a sheep, I give you wheat. Sounds simple, but it actually hid a massive problem, what economists call the double coincidence of wants. Say you're a farmer. You have wheat and you need shoes, but the local shoemaker doesn't want wheat. He wants chickens. Now you first have to find someone who'll trade your wheat for chickens and then take those chickens to the shoemaker. A simple exchange turns into an entire chain of trades. Even worse, some things can't be divided. You can't cut a goat in half to make a small purchase, and some goods spoil. You can't store wheat for long without it losing value. So what humanity really needed was a small, portable, durable unit of value that everyone agreed on. Throughout history, different societies tried different solutions. Mesopotamia used weighed silver bars. Some cultures used cowrie shells. But all of these shared the same flaw. You had to weigh it, check its purity, every single time. Trust was missing. This is where the Lydians enter the picture, a people living along the Gedis River, in what is now Western Turkey, with their capital at Sardis, around the 7th century BCE. The Lydians had an unusual natural resource. The Pactolus stream, fed by the surrounding mountains, carried electrum down with its waters. Electrum is a naturally occurring alloy of gold and silver. So the Lydians were essentially collecting precious metal straight from the river. Ancient sources even tie the legend of King Midas, the man whose touch turned everything to gold, to this very river, because it genuinely did carry gold. But here's the catch. The ratio of gold to silver in electrum varied from piece to piece. Some chunks were more valuable, others less. So even this natural wealth wasn't an undisputed measure of value. Every transaction risked an argument over how pure a given piece really was. Now let's get to the real question. How was this problem solved, and where did the idea actually come from? The leading theory among historians is this. The Lydian state needed to pay its soldiers, especially mercenaries, reliably and regularly. The stronger a kingdom, the larger its army, and paying a large army in sheep or wheat simply wasn't practical. Soldiers wanted something portable, divisible, and whose value nobody could dispute. This is where, likely toward the late 7th century BCE, under King Alyattes, with the process possibly beginning under his father Gyges and maturing under his son Croesus, the state made a decision: cut electrum into standardized weights and stamp each piece with the state's official seal, typically a lion's head. This simple-looking step was actually revolutionary because it solved three problems at once. First, standardized weight meant no more weighing every transaction. Second, state guarantee eliminated arguments over purity. The king's seal said, in effect, "This piece's value is certified by me." Third, these coins were minted in different sizes, creating a divisible system for both small and large transactions. In other words, money wasn't born as an abstract invention. It emerged as the solution to a very concrete need, making it easier for the state to pay its expenses, especially military ones. Archaeologists found evidence supporting this theory at the Temple of Artemis excavations in Sardis. Electrum coins, dated to the late 7th century BCE, stamped with the lion's head seal. The results of this system showed up fast. Merchants no longer had to haul sheep or sacks of wheat around. With a handful of coins in their pocket, they could go anywhere and buy whatever they needed. Trade accelerated dramatically, and Lydia quickly became one of the wealthiest kingdoms in the region. Here's the interesting part. Lydia's immediate Greek neighbors, especially the Ionian cities like Ephesus and Miletus, were watching closely. Trading partners and border neighbors as they were, they saw the system actually worked. Before long, these Greek colonies adopted it, then Athens on the other side of the Aegean, and eventually the entire Mediterranean world began minting its own coins. So the card in your wallet today is, in a very real sense, the legacy of a logistical problem this small Anatolian kingdom solved. Meanwhile, King Croesus grew so wealthy that English still uses the phrase "as rich as Croesus" today. He's remembered as one of history's first super-rich figures. But here's the irony. The wealthier and more powerful Croesus became, the more he trusted his own strength. He went to war against the rising Persian power under Cyrus. According to legend, when he consulted the Oracle of Delphi, he was told, "If you go to war, a great empire will fall." And he took this as a prophecy of his own victory. But the empire that fell was his own. In 546 BCE, Lydia was conquered by the Persians. The man who invented money, the richest man in the world, lost everything the moment he trusted his own power too much. So to sum up, money wasn't a flash of inspiration. It was a very practical solution to a very practical problem. The state's need to pay its army with something reliable, portable, and beyond dispute. Combine a natural resource, like electrum, with standardized weight and a state seal, and you get the foundation of the system we still use today. Kingdoms can fall, but a good solution never disappears. In the next video, I'll cover how writing was invented, and how, surprisingly, the very first writing wasn't created for literature, but for bookkeeping. Just as surprising a story as this one. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe and let me know in the comments. Which invention do you think changed history the most?